Welcome to the second class of Swamp University. Today we're going to talk about the fact that we are not alone and how we could possibly use the things that are enjoying the experience with us in a way that would be much more beneficial. So besides ourselves, which I'll discuss in a future video, there are two other areas where we can get help. And that help is super beneficial when you start to look at the numbers. So the first place we can get help is our ancestors. And so I want you to think about this for a minute. I want you to think about the representation of a single being as being the number one. So take a piece of paper and write a one next to it, or write a one on it. Okay? This isn't to limit someone's abilities or demean the power of an individual. This is simply to create a representation so that we can discuss what it means to have more than just ourselves. Okay? So with that one written on that piece of paper, write another one right next to it. This would be somebody or something willing to help you with any topic. Look at that new number. That new number isn't the number 2. Technically, that new number is the number 11. And if you were to write another 1 next to those two ones, you'd get 111. And if you wrote another 1, it would be 1,111. So this helps us visualize and understand the relationship of working together. When we work together, we do not double our efforts, but our efforts are increased exponentially. So who's out there to help us? So let's start with what we were made from. We all have ancestors. That's irrefutable. Everybody can agree that we have parents, and our parents had parents, and so on and so forth. But let's talk about how many ancestors we actually have. So there's two types of ancestors. There's blood lineage ancestors, and then there's ancestors from the people that our bloodline has associated with and helped, both good and bad. If we had a major impact, then those are in individual lives, then those are also ancestral energies we can use. Well, what's that mean? I mean, that's a pretty obscure figure, especially when we're trying to figure out just how many ones we have in our corner. So let's do a little bit of math here. Mankind as it exists today has been around for about 40,000 years. The average generation is 38 years. So that's 1,052 generations to make you, give or take. That's 2,104 paternal ancestors. Okay? That's mothers and fathers that made it possible for you to be here. Okay? That's and on average, up until a couple of years ago, there's been 7 siblings in every household. So that's 14,736 blood relatives that are in your corner to help you, that are directly related to you, plus all their offsprings and all their offsprings' offsprings and so on and so forth. But first generation or first aunts and uncles to those parents and those parents. That's 14,736 ones. Now, let's be conservative on how many people everybody helps, right? Or everybody has a major relationship with. And let's just say that that number is somewhere around 11. So on average, those 14,000 individuals had a unique and impactful relationship with 11 people in their lifetime. It's a pretty modest number until you do the math. That's 165,000 ancestral energies that are there to help you. 165,000 individual ones. That's like a stadium. Most clubs will only support like 200 people. 165,000, that's like a stadium, an amphitheater. That's a lot of things, a lot of people. But we also get all their gods. Because who do they use? When they were alive, they worshipped and treasured and honored specific deities and specific energies. So we also get their help. So that 165,000 is still a very modest interpretation of what's really helping us, or what could help us. Okay? So that's one hand. That's one half besides ourselves of what could be helping us. The other half of what could be helping us is everything else in the universe. Everything that we come in contact with. Up until the late 1800s, the definition of animism was all things had a purpose and an impact within our reality. Animism wasn't about trees and rocks having souls. It was about having a purpose and an impact within our reality. Those energies we could build a relationship with. And those energies could help us in our reality. If I'm a boat builder, my tools that I use every day become part of me. They become an extension of me. But I have to take care of them. If I don't take care of them and I don't respect them, then they'll fail me. So our ancestors understood this relationship, that everything had a symbiotic relationship within their reality. If you came in contact with something, it was there to help you or to hinder your success. So you build a relationship with it, it's more likely going to help you because you'll understand how to use it and it'll understand you. So you have your ancestral line and you have your animistic line. Together, they make up a whole unity that can assist you in being more successful in life, whatever that success may be. So, how do we create enough time to help all these things? So, Mr. Kelly just told me I have 165,000 ancestors, and then I can't even begin to count the things that exist in my reality. How do I create enough time to build a relationship with all of them? You build an altar. An altar doesn't have to be a physical thing. It can be a mental thing. But it must have something on it or in it that helps you remember that you're not alone, that you have 165,000 ancestors, and that you are accompanied by all this stuff all around you. And when you begin to venerate, honor, and respect these things, they will begin to honor and respect you back. And the longer you do this, the more powerful you become, because the more of them come stand next to your individual one until all of them are standing with you. So if you're going to use a physical candle space, a physical altar space, start with a simple white candle. The flame of the candle brings its own energy, so the altar becomes living. It's also a natural focal point. It's easy to get lost in the flame. It's easy to let go of all the mundane stuff that we're dealing with. So then we can focus on the things that are on our altar so that we can make them part of our life. This isn't about worship. Veneration and worship are very different things, but they're very close. Modern day worship is this idea of monotheism, where we bend a knee and we're subjugated to something that is of a higher power than us. That's relatively new when you think about the lifespan of the human species. Worship by definition is to honor and respect with great admiration and love. It sounds pretty different than the idea of being a subject of something, of being suppressed by something greater than you. So for us, we use the word venerate. To venerate is to validate its existence within our reality. So, again, honor and respect with great admiration or love. To verify that our ancestors are present and that all these other things are present in our reality. Well, that's pretty easy to do since they're in our experience that we call reality. Anything else you put on your altar is personal. It needs to represent one of the two parts or the third part, which is yourself, which will be in our next video. But one of these, there should be something on your altar to help you remember all the things and all the people that have an impact on your life. And all the people go back 40,000 years. We're not talking just the few hundred years that have passed. We're talking about since the beginning of the human experience. Well, I hope you had a great time with me. Please take this, dwell on it, use the trivium to challenge it. Find for yourself the objective reality or the subjective imagination that can help you build this into part of your practice. Without this, you are a single one asking for help from somebody or something that doesn't know who or what you are. There might be some important facts there. I hope you have a good day. From my home to yours, walk with the ancestors.